Hello. I'm confused. If you watch maybe the little thing I made, then you're probably scratching your head as to, well, he just said that he thought he had Alzheimer's, and now he's saying he's a little confused. Anyway, I made a really nice video, it turned out. And then I went over to where the videos are stored and accidentally hit delete. And it didn't say, "You dumbass, are you sure you want to delete this?" Or it didn't do anything at all like that. Well, by the way, I need to put some more drops in this eye. But anyway, the video that I made was about 20 minutes, and I thought I did a really good job, especially since I wasn't sure if I was recording. But it turned out to be a good little video. And then I went and hit delete. YouTube has. Oh, what I found out was that this microphone, before I deleted it, that it was the microphone picking up. I didn't expect that. I expected it to be this camera up here. So I'm going to assume that since I didn't really change anything around, that this is the microphone that's working, and you're probably getting pretty good audio, and you're probably getting pretty good video. And of course, look how handsome I am. How could you not be? I mean, you're getting it all. Discount price. So I guess I have to repeat what I said. I can't do that. That's why my videos are the way the way they are. I just open my dumb mouth and whatever comes out. Okay. I've been having computer trouble for quite a while. One thing is I'm on a very limited income. I don't have much money. I don't get, you know, not the best computer. I mean, I get the one I'm using now, which is right now it's doing the job, and it was only I think $40 a Dell refurbished one. It's working okay now, sometimes. This may get done in video or something, but it would be nice to have not a 5,000 or $7. Yeah, it's seven. I'm used to having a $7. Not a $7,000 computer or a $4,000 computer or something. It would be nice to be doing what I'm doing and having a really good computer to do it on, rather than stringing pieces and things together and here and there and whatever. So if you watched, and I think it's there, you will probably, this is not the microphone that's working too. That's the way things work with me. Also, they have this black screen on it, so I don't know which. I need to mark it with a magic marker, don't I? Because I'm not sure if I'm talking into the back side or if I'm talking, I guess I'd be talking into the top there. I can't. Oh, wait a minute. I do have. Maybe this will show me inside the. Okay, maybe the end. No, that doesn't work. Okay. Okay, is that the back side? I can't tell. Maybe I'll just do it halfway and halfway or something. On the 20th, I'm going to have surgery done on this eye. I had surgery done on the right eye, and Today is the 15th, March 15th, and in 5 days I will have surgery done on the other eye. And the eye doctor tells me that I'm going to have really, and I'm 80, well, I think, let's see, well, I'm still 82, but in a few days I'll be 83. And I'm going to have great vision for an 83-year-old man. I've got a really good friend, and he is younger than I am, and he had surgery done, on his eyes, and one of them did not come out well, which is just something I think that happens, and anyway, is this a replacement for the video that was so good? I think it is. God damn, that I accidentally deleted. Oh, man. Bummer. It's not often that I'm brilliant and eloquent and all that kind of stuff. In fact, I never have been. But don't blame it on me. Blame it on my cheap computer or my microphones that keep switching on me. And especially recently, when I've been having some trouble. I've been talking into the microphone, and it's been cutting out occasionally. Or I've been talking, and talking into a microphone like this, and the real microphone that's recording is up there or something. I haven't been lucky recently. So I have to blame somebody. Donald Trump. Who else? I think I just blame him for everything. Although I have to be quiet about it because I'm in Texas. I made a video a few hours ago saying that I had Alzheimer's, that I just discovered that I had Alzheimer's. And I got to mention the fact that, because I put that in the video, that there's a long-time friend, and he served in the Vietnam War. He's younger than I am. I was eligible to go. In fact, I went down to enlist after high school. I went to a military high school. I went down, and they threw my ass out in the street. Well, no, of course they didn't, but I was under the 40 pounds out of the minimum weight requirement. I didn't know they had a minimum weight requirement. I thought they took everybody and turned them into men. Well, not the women, not the waves and the wax and what have you. But anyway, he's been a friend for a long time. Like I said, he was in Vietnam War. He was an officer. He was in the Air Force. And, okay, I'm going to get this wrong. He wasn't actually in Vietnam. He was Cambodia or wherever our government was saying, yes, we have no, not yes, we have no, we have no troops in that area. But they did. They had, up on a mountain or something or other, Air Force unit with weathermen, and he was a weatherman by that. So he'd graduated from college and, had a degree and certified or whatever, and he and others were there, and they were giving information to the pilots who were flying into Vietnam, what the weather was like over the targets and that type of stuff. But anyway, he went on to work for the Post Office Department, United States Post Office Department, and do all kinds of things. And did a lot of things. Well, when he was working for the weather department, occasionally he was sent out to take readings. I wouldn't think it would be necessary, but I guess it was for some reason. You know, he would be part of the crew, but he would be gathering radar, or not radar, but, you know, weather conditions, I guess, to help, I don't know, over my head. Anyway, he's really an interesting guy, and been a fan of Howard's Notebook, and we've been friends. We've met a few times. He took me on a tour when he was working for the, started to say post office, but that was me. I worked for the post office for 8 weeks, I think, yeah. And I told them to take the job and shove it. I didn't really say that, but the career appointees, which I was, civil service, you know, I told them I was quitting, and they were saying, "You're going to regret it. Don't quit," you know. And I did. I went on to make more money. I would have been better, though, to stay with the post office and, you know, worked 20 years or whatever it was. I would have come out with a much, much better pension than so it was a mistake on my part. I've made a few mistakes in life. Got married. No, I'm teasing. There was a TV show, Married with Children. It was good. I'm making a terrible video here. I have got to make sure that I need to go into the settings and make sure that, one, that I don't mix video with single photographs in the same, that's one reason that makes me sometimes delete the wrong thing. You know, this was, well, if you've been watching my videos, you've seen that the quality and the standard of them has gone down, and then of course it's picked up a little bit and gone down and gone super down and whatever. And I really need a little better computer. But I think that this, well, anyway, I disconnected all of this equipment and hooked up another computer that I have. And then I was having trouble with it. And then what hit me appeared to be Alzheimer's. And, I mean, quickly. And with no previous, except that my mother had Alzheimer's and died from it. But, so anyway, I hooked up this other computer because it gave me better audio and video for these videos. And, but then, boom, I couldn't remember what day it was. I couldn't remember a whole bunch. I do not drink. I've never have drank. I mean, except when I was a little boy, my dad would, you know, pour a little beer and, you know, just like when I was in high school and went to a Catholic high school, a military academy. That makes it sound like I had money, like my parents or something had money. No, that wasn't the case. I guess the way the system, ROTC system worked or whatever, and I don't know how it worked, how it was written in there or whatever, but, and I'm sure that the school didn't have to do it. If you were a private school, or I mean a public school could do it too, but I don't think they ever did it. Well, somebody undoubtedly did it, but if you went to a Catholic school, the government, and you wanted to have a, you know, ROTC program, or more than an ROTC, 55C schools, what they were called. They were like ROTC on steroids or whatever. You know, the ROTC, Reserve Officers Training thing for high school, and then they have that for college too, where you can help yourself and go into the military as a, you know, as an officer, second lieutenant or whatever it would be. So the school I went to was a Christian Brothers Catholic school, and they got some money from the federal government to turn out little ROTC students. By the way, Donald Trump also, he went to a high school that was an academy, you know, military thing. And, but I mean, he was going to a place that rich people sent their kids, probably to get them to straighten up and fly right or something. And then, but he also went to a college that had an ROTC program, and because I mentioned to a couple, it was in fact on election day when Trump was elected, I was being driven to the voting place because I don't have a car, and I was being driven back, you know, in a different Uber or whatever. And it just happened on the way to, and the way back actually, and it was a very short distance, you know. I think, I can't remember exactly how it's been, you know, some time back. But, oh, you're going to, you know, because he was driving me, you know, oh, you're going to vote. I said, yeah. And I don't know exactly, it's been a while. I don't know if he said, well, I hope you're voting the right way. And I said, well, and I can't remember exactly what the conversation was. I'll just, you know, I will just create it. I said, yep, I've always voted the Democratic Party, never voted for a Republican, and I'll be doing the same today. And then he said, well, I'm a Donald Trump man or whatever. And he said, you know, I served in the military or whatever. And I said, you're a veteran and you're voting for Donald Trump, you know. And yes, I'm voting for Donald Trump, you know, everything. And I said, you do know his position on veterans and stuff like that, don't you? Yeah, well, he's a, you know. And I said, you know, he didn't serve at all in the military. In fact, he did everything he could with bone spurs to, you know, get out of being in the military. And he said a few negative things about him. And I said, he says that he knows more about the military than the generals do, or that the men who, you know, fought for the country, you know, that he knows more about it because he went to a ROTC program. And I said, and of course I left out the part that because I didn't say, well, I went to a, you know, high school ROTC program. I just said I went to an ROTC program. And I said, I didn't learn more than, when I came out, I didn't know more than the guys who served in the military or whatever. And then he said something to the effect, you know, well, who says that he, you know, said such and such? And I says, he says it. It's been quoted repeatedly. He repeats it, you know. And then on the trip back, it wasn't the exact same conversation, but that guy said, I don't think he didn't ask or anything. He was professional and everything, but it came up, you know. I said, well, I voted like I always do, the Democratic Party, having never voted for a Republican. And he says, well, I'm voting for Donald Trump. So, I'm an amateur radio operator, by the way, and there's a young man who lives in this area, and we discovered each other by amateur radio. And really, you shouldn't talk politics. I mean, it's a bad idea to talk, you know, in your family, if you know, in your church. I mean, it's just a bad idea to talk politics. But sometimes I can't help myself. And it's not a good idea. Now, when oh, that's terrible. Maybe I do have Alzheimer's. Obama. When Obama was elected President of the United States, I bought an old Biden T-shirt, you know, not from him, but from someplace. And I wore it around. I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, you know. I'm in Texas, a state that the leaders of the Republican Party or whatever want to leave the United States, including the governor, wants to go back to being a independent country. But anyway, well, one thing I noticed, let me jump like back for which one of the election. Anyway, back, I live in this apartment complex. Nice people live here. It's not it's a, you know, gated community, but it's not they're a few blocks over. I would not want to be out at night. But anyway, I bought a Obama T-shirt, or a shirt, and I would wear it. Never had a problem with anybody, but I wouldn't wear it out at night if I was going to go 2 or 3 blocks down the street to the Walgreens to pick up a prescription or something like that. I didn't wear it at night. Didn't want to encourage any things to happen. But my parents, of course, were Democrats all their life. And, of course, I was a Democrat all my life, and still am. Well, yeah, still am. And most of the people my parents' age, you know, that was because they lived through the Depression. My mother, you know, her parents were divorced, and her husband was in the Klan. He positively refused to pay any kind of child support. Hell no. And he got drug into court, and apparently, I mean, I wasn't there, you know. He was drug into court, and the judge ordered him, you know, to pay something, and he refused. Said, "Hell no, I'm not going to do it, and you can't make me," or whatever. I don't think it had anything to do that he was in the Klan, that he had that attitude, you know. Maybe so. Maybe the judge was a member of the Klan too. Oh, I recognize you, Your Honor, without having your, you know, Klan gear on or something. I don't think that was it. I think he was just a stubborn man. He refused. My mother married into a Catholic family, a big Catholic family, and when she was married, her father refused to go to the wedding because it was a Catholic wedding. You know, the Klan not only disliked blacks, they also disliked Catholics, Jews, and everybody else, I guess, except those that had the Klan uniform on. Anyway, how did I get on that subject? There was a way, and I don't remember what it was. My mind is so brilliant. I can't keep... I really should, well... Actually, in fact, I mentioned it in a video that I think is on here. I think I just made it a little bit before, or did that one get deleted? By me. Yeah, I can't remember now. Oh, but what I said in it was that what I would like to do, if I did have Alzheimer's, and if I had any time left where I knew what I was doing, what I would like to do is go back. It'd be a lot of work, and I don't want to work anymore. I worked all my life. Union jobs, mainly. Well, the hospital, I worked hospital security for 30 years. None of those were union years. um, but got sidetracked again. Oh, I said what I'd like to do when well, you probably didn't hear it, because I think it got deleted by me being stupid. It's probably Donald Trump probably has psychotic powers, and I meant actually psychotic. I didn't mean, you know. When I thought a few hours ago that and I still think I may be heading in that direction. My mother had it. But what I said I'd like to do, which I don't think it's too much work to. Got a lot of videos here. And an awful lot of those were like parts of something, and I'd like to go through and edit them and put them together. I got two daughters who are making TikTok videos and doing very well at it. Especially one of my daughters is doing really, really well. She's really smart. I can say that because she didn't get her IQ from me or whatever. But I'd like to go through and edit them. Now, if I was going to do that, and I don't have the money, if I was going to do that, I'd really want a powerful computer, maybe even a Apple. I've never had an Apple computer. I wouldn't want to do it the way I'd have to do it with this, Now, I'd like to go through and edit them so that you'd get the entire story. And I've told a bunch of stories. But I was working hospital security at a small hospital, and I worked there, I think, about 10 years. And I told some stories, but they weren't made-up stories. They were all true stories that I told. And the nurses didn't believe that they were true stories. And I said, I don't make up stories at all. Zero, none, And they still didn't believe me. And a new nurse would come out, maybe to fill in, because it was a small hospital. Maybe a new nurse would come out to fill in for 2 weeks or something, or whatever. And when I'd come on, because of on the Saturdays and Sundays, there was an overlap situation or whatever. But so I'd come in I worked the weekends. So Saturday and Sunday I worked the 2 12-hour shifts, and then I worked 8-hour shifts to make up the rest. And then the other security officer just worked 5 8-hour shifts or something. But I would come into work, a new nurse would be, I'd come into work and she'd say, "Oh, the other nurses told me about you. You tell stories." And I would be like, I don't tell stories. I tell things that, happened, or things that I did, or whatever. She said, "No, they told me you tell stories." Okay. One time the nurses said, "Where are you going on vacation, Jim?" Because we were like a family. It was great. Those 10 years that I worked there, great nurses, except for one. Anyway, they said, "Oh, where are you going on vacation?" And I said, "Going out to Kansas to a nudist camp and spending the weekend there or whatever." "Ah, Jim, your stories." And I said, "No, I'm really, I came back with a pretty good tan." And I think they believed that. It was out in the middle of Kansas. So I think you can hear my son in the other room. He's not bad today, but sometimes he's loud, really loud. I keep hitting that. How long have I been talking? It's only, my videos recently have been down to like 30 minutes instead of an hour or an hour and a half or something. Anyway, I would like to be able to go in and edit the videos, and a lot of interesting things happened. I'm thinking of all those stories. They could be edited so nice. Especially if somebody had talent, which I don't have talent. I have a talent for, well, I don't lie. And, but I do think I have an interest, well, I don't know how well that works. I have an interesting sense of humor and stuff. It comes out, but it comes out in a strange way. I'm really good. I'm not good at I can't tell a joke. I'm not good at remembering things. I do remember things, but where I really am skilled is in coming up with a one-liner or something. Somebody will be talking or somebody will be doing something or whatever, and then I come in with a devastating thing. And sometimes it's kind of strange. I never try to ever hurt anybody or ridicule somebody or do anything like that. But I can come up with stuff at the right time. I'm sure it's been misunderstood a few times. And I regret that, if it was. I can't think of... I'm sure it has come up. Well, it came up with, that... I'm somebody, I don't know why, well, maybe because I always had a job. I could always get a job. I quit a job on Friday more than once. I quit a job on Friday and I had a job Monday. And I feel sorry for people. I've talked about that in the past. I feel sorry for young people nowadays. The way things are difficult. And, bosses and stuff. Actually, I was devastating for, also, and now this is a mistake that I work working at hospitals. Let's take that. The administration or whatever would say, oh, this person will be coming into the hospital today, and, make sure you find them a good parking spot because they're, on the board of directors, they have hospitals have all these different things where people get, they come occasionally and have a special dinner and wine, and I know because security would go around and have to secure you go in a room and there'd be lobster and that kind of stuff and wine and that kind of stuff there. No, I never, and I don't know if any other security officer probably did something. I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me, but I didn't know they did. I never did. But whenever somebody would say, like the real nice lady for the one hospital I worked at, she was the secretary to the hospital administrator. No, the assistant administrator, because he was over security and the other departments. I mean, the non-medical departments. He wasn't over the pharmacy or the lab or that type of stuff. He was over food service, laundry, and security and that type of stuff. The director of security or the hospital administrator was, assistant administrator. And so she, a real nice lady, and she knew me. So she'd call up and say, oh, the hospital would like, or the hospital administrator, or she'd say his name, there's a VIP coming in, and would you make sure that he finds a parking spot or whatever? Quite often I would say something. Not just that hospital, other hospital. And the first hospital I worked at was a Catholic hospital. So, the nuns wanted somebody to get... Actually, the nuns, they didn't. The nuns ran when visiting hours were over, they were over. Which I didn't totally agree with, Maybe they made an exception, like on Mother's Day, for a kid to be able to go up to see the mom, but they had their rule, they were nuns. But that hospital ran fantastic. because there you had every department. The pharmacy, there was a nun who was a pharmacist, and she was in charge of that. In the emergency room, there was an RN who was a nun, and she was the supervisor of that, and that was the way it was all the way through. And I didn't care for I didn't see her much, but I didn't care for the nun who ran the pharmacy had told the people there that they were not to set off the hold-up alarm or whatever, and that was her policy, and I wasn't. The nun in the emergency room did a great job. The nun that was in charge, except I was. There I saw this guy come in. In fact, the one I'm thinking about. It was a warm, sunny day in Kansas City. Anyway, I was standing at the ER door, and here a black guy, is pulling his black friend into the hospital. The guy's trying to get away, and I stepped outside, and I said, "Can I help you, And he says, "Oh, my friend needs to be seen." And I said, "He doesn't want to be seen?" And the guy says, "No, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to go in the hospital." And I said, "Okay, if he doesn't want to go in the hospital, he doesn't have to go, and you can't make him go into the hospital. Now, if he passed out, I didn't say this. I'm saying it to you now. Well, of course, if he passed out, I would have had to drag him in. But anyway, we just had something that I'd never heard of before: EMTs, emergency medical technicians, and later I became an EMT and a CPR instructor, and such and such. But anyway, so I said, he doesn't want to come in. So, and then they just started at the hospital because they bought a mobile intensive care unit. Now, the hospital had some trouble with the city and the state or whatever, because the hospital did not want to have an ambulance. Well, they wanted ambulances to come and bring them patients, but the hospital wanted to have an ambulance, a deluxe, like a camping vehicle, fancy camp, and so they went to the police or the board or whichever one it was and said, we want to get lights and siren, and we need a permit for them. And they said, okay, let's see, ambulance. No, not an ambulance. What? That's not a fire truck. No, that's not a police car. No. Okay, I'm going to ask you again. Ambulance, fire truck, no. So the hospital had to put in small letters or something, ambulance, and then they could get their lights and siren. But anyway, I told the hospital administrators that when they did it, they said, hey, the hospital decided that we would be the drivers. That's right. Yeah, at the beginning, security was going to be. Oops, sorry about that. We're going to be the drivers. And I told the other security officers, nope, not doing it. Well, I did ask. I said, how much extra are we getting for that? Oh, no, It was run by the nuns. They had to give money to the Pope for the, recruitment or whatever they do, whatever the Pope does. Or it could be for their school for the nuns, whatever convent they came from or what they had their, and giving money to employees. And especially security. They figure, well, respiratory therapy, does good. And all these other people, but security, they didn't want to pay for security, although the 5 years that I was there, 2 security officers were shot in the line of duty, one permanently disabled and one killed, John Galegas. They gave their lives, but nuns didn't see it that way. But the hospital administrator, who was can I mention that he was black, or does that somehow make me prejudiced? I think I can mix, because I think it entered into it. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have mentioned it. It's too late. I don't want to do editing. But anyway, Uh, I think I was talking about, well, part of the reason, I think, uh, I was a union member all my, well, except I can't say that. Hell, I worked 30 years hospital security at different hospitals. So but I was a member of United Auto Workers, uh, uh, Boilermakers Union. Let's see, what is that? Local 83, Boilermakers, Blacksmith, something else. So, but also my father was, all his life was a union member, a member of the Boilermakers. And when I was in maybe grade school or high school, my father was fighting racial prejudice. My father was white, by the way. He was fighting racial prejudice and other forms of, and also was, standing up for uh, things that had been put into laws by, you know, Democratic voters. National Labor Relations Act and Taft-Hartley Act and all kinds of stuff. And I knew that because I helped my father. I made up posters for him when he was trying to get elected to the union as a business agent, and he finally got it. And then I would read the just about every day material would come for him, and it was all the people interested in that, not just the union people, but then of course the people in the other in business or whatever, they had to know it too. Although I ran into some that didn't know it, but I was able to teach them about it. But anyway, so I helped my father, and then when he got elected as a business agent, almost every day the National Labor Relations Board would send material. And that was before the internet, they had to send it through the mail. Just like when I was tracking Earth satellites or whatever, the government had to send me, papers every day with the information on the satellites and things that were in space. I got around in life, and the one place I got around was, even though it wasn't my job, well, it was my job. I made it my job, standing up to, for people's rights. I'm just thinking they're going through my mind, some of the things are going through my mind. Anyway, I hope this is the microphone. Oh my God, what a disaster. I wouldn't, anyway, thank you very much for, not just for, I'm not sure how long I'll be doing this. And, but for all of you, even the newcomers, even if you've only been here a day or two, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for giving a thumbs up. Whatever. But I'm really proud of my things that I did. Oh, and my father, by the way. I mean, he was born of he was born of that generation of Americans, and especially being a working man, being a union man, and all that type of stuff. Really proud of him. He, when he became he was always in favor of union, the union, and the union, didn't matter what religion they were, or they were a union member, they were a brother. And so I was in the Boilermaker Union for a while, but my father, there was the people that work in the shop that make less money, and those that work in the field. Of course, guys always wanted to work in the field. It made quite a bit more money. I never asked my father ever to do anything for me, you know. I never asked to be, and I never was, you know. And if I'd asked him, I don't think, because I know when the government allowed for apprenticeship programs to be set up, the government had to step in. When the unions wanted to set up apprenticeship programs, they wanted to be able to take a young person that's coming into their union and teach them all they needed to know. Welding, acetylene cutting of stuff, layouts, just all these things. In order, though, for that person to be able to know all these things, if you were working as a boilermaker or whatever, and they just sent you to the factory for the boiler or the whatever it was, if that's all you did was just go and worked on the same thing, they needed you to learn everything, blueprint reading, the whole thing. Of course, some of the stuff you learned, when I finally went out, and my dad didn't get me the job, the unions would call when they needed somebody, like Pascagoula, Mississippi called quite often, needing people to work on the ships, And I think that's one that they called where my dad was a union, one of the 3 union reps there. They called and said, do you have anybody you can send? We need them in Pascagoula, Mississippi at the shipyards and whatever. And then my dad would announce to everybody, send a word out to where they were and that type of stuff, saying, hey, there are jobs, Pascagoula, Mississippi or whatever. But when I got as far as, I forget, it didn't make it that far. I decided, why am I going to drive, and I just pulled into the union hall and went in and said, do you have any work? Yeah. A oil refinery, right over here. So I had to take the welding test. Even though I went to Lincoln Electric Company welding school. My dad paid for it, by the way. There's another, thing for him. But, anyway, back to my dad. Like there were, black employees, but they were boilermakers, and working in, like I did, building railroad trains and stuff. And when the apprenticeship program, they wanted to go to the field, them too, where there was more money, take care of their families, pay their taxes, all that type of stuff. And the other union agents, the 2 of them, no, we don't want, no blacks, except they probably used the N-word. My dad didn't. Now, he still, he was a man of his times. I mean, he probably laughed at some joke that somebody thought was funny or something like that, but he didn't use the N-word or anything like that. And when he was in a position where he could help, when a black applied, hey, could I go out in the field, if he was a union member and he had the seniority or whatever it was, my dad insisted. And when the apprenticeship program started, they wanted to get into that, and he stood up. They're a union member, they're a brother. They're my brother, so. But I think this is long enough because I'm never sure. My voice has not been doing very well recently for a long time, so I think I'm going to end this. I've educated you enough. Thank you very much for watching.